again, and welcome back to another edition of Austin's American Flyer, where today we're talking about a trip, a outside 7.5-inch gauge fun day, as well as a train show. Thanks for stopping in today. I wanted to share with you about a couple of things that happened recently and invite you to check out a website or two. So to begin with, recently I had the opportunity to head down to a small town, beautiful town that is south of Indianapolis, Indiana, called Franklin, Indiana. And there you find the Johnson County Fairgrounds, and they had an NMRA train show. This is the second one that my friend Brad has been kind enough to invite me to, and it's grown quite a bit since the last show. They occupied a pretty significantly sized building over the last show that they had, and there were a lot of vendors. And I was pleased to find there were a couple S-scale vendors as well. And here you'll see some clips from a whole bunch of different layouts that were in operation. And I grabbed just a few shots of some of them.
You remember Austin?
Well, it's nice to meet you, Ellen. I'll just put my finger here for scale.
They had 40 cycles yeah, the puzzle people don't know that I did that. There we go. This is easier to put on than that, believe it or not. You know why? Well, these things are so light, they don't get enough traction to pull themselves. So what they do is they magnetize the wheels and make this track.
German's perspectives over here.
guys want to get involved in restoring and fixing this caboose up, I'll come over and spend time helping you do it. And they had no desire.
So this year's show was interesting because, like I said, there were a few more S-scale vendors, and as you know, I'm a little biased, and so I ended up coming home with a few things, and one of those is this guy here. The 24077 Northern Pacific Pig Palace. And this guy is one that's a little harder to come by, and I've been looking for one. It's not one I have currently in my collection at all. So let's talk a little bit about the infamous Pig Palace open slat stock car. This is a Northern Pacific boxcar that Flyer produced for a few years. Not very long though, between 59 and 62. And it's distinguished because, well, for a couple reasons. First of all, not very many were made. Secondly, it's a bit unusual because of the color scheme with silver ends and red sides, and then this almost comical Pig Palace sticker on the side. This was a 5-digit car, and in Doyle's investigation, he gives this a scarcity rating of a number 7. It doesn't seem to be quite that high in Greenberg's and some other sources I've looked at. And this happens to be an extremely nice version of this car. It's very clean. There's virtually no imperfections that I can find in it. Other than I did notice that there's a missing screw on the end, which I thought was interesting. It looks like there was one at one time, but that one's gone for reasons I don't know. But yeah, everything's present, everything works. And so this car came home with me, and I was quite excited to find this. And the vendors that were there had a number of what I would consider less common items, as well as kind of everywhere I went, I found more common items. There were a lot of vendors that had trays that would just have kind of bits and pieces in them. But then there were a couple guys that were there, and gals, sorry, guys and gals, that had some amazing stuff. And here's a few pictures of Dave Isaac's booth, and this is the gentleman that I purchased this car from. And so he's got some really nice stuff. He said he's just trying to thin down his stash, if you will. And based on what I saw at the show, it made me think, my goodness, what's he got in his house? You know, pretty incredible. More rare pieces, like I said. So that was exciting. One other thing that I guess I didn't anticipate is I stumbled into another vendor who had mostly Lionel, but I saw a few, again, very common flyer pieces, and I said, hey, any chance you would have flyer beyond these couple pieces I see right here? And he said, well, yeah, I do. He took me to one of the areas in his booth and pointed out some Kline cars. Now, most of you probably are aware of the history of Kline, and I think someone told me about it one time, but I guess things don't always stick. So I felt like I was seeing something for the first time. I was like, wait, Kline made American Flyer S-scale or S-scale stuff? And so I did a little research, just because even though I oftentimes don't come across this way, I actually try to be prepared for videos when I talk. And so a short history is there was a company called, I think it's MDK, Kline was the last name, Mari Kline, and he somehow got his hands on some tooling from Marx and a few others that had gone out of business, and began making some low-end Lionel or O-scale train sets. And this happened in the late 70s. And then by the mid-80s, he had acquired some more tooling, and again, based on Wikipedia, which isn't always the best source, but that's what I found to get a little backstory. There was some sort of a hullabaloo between Lionel and this MDK Productions, but then it became Kline. I guess their Chinese manufacturer kind of bought the company, and so it turned into Kline. And apparently there was some sort of patent infringement, and I don't again, no real details, but Lionel seemed to go after these people pretty hard, and Kline, I guess, mounted a response, and in the end, Kline was bought by Lionel, which it's interesting. They did that to Flyer too. So one of the interesting pieces of that was Kline, through MDK, had gotten, I don't know if it was a tooling, the rights, again, very limited information, but somehow got the ability to make Flyer track. And so on my layout, and maybe on yours too, I actually have some wide radius curves that say Kline on them. And apparently that was something they brought from the sale and demise of A.C. Gilbert's American Flyer Company. So I thought that was fascinating. I also saw a note in this article that said that Lionel, for some reason, even though they bought the A.C. Gilbert American Flyer Company, couldn't make track, which I guess if this MDK or Mari Kline had purchased that, would explain why they couldn't make track. So they were, I guess, motivated to pursue Kline to get that, so that they could produce a scale track again, or not again, but for the first time, which I found that fascinating. So fast forward to where we are today, and at some point during Kline's history, however brief it was, they made S-scale items. And so behind me are 1, 2, 3 S-scale boxcars, and you can see they are actually stunning graphics, absolutely brilliant graphics, well made. These doors slide on both sides. The trucks are metal side frames that are sprung, and the wheel sets themselves are metal, and they're insulated. And you can see they're a little more narrow, a little bit more prototypical. They have knuckle couplers that interface with traditional Flyer as well. So really cool, well constructed, like I said, and they roll extremely well, which tells me they probably have pointed axle ends in the side journal boxes. And ask me how I know that. On this little rector bridge, it kind of is the peak of my grade, and I slid the cars back out of camera view, and I heard this sound, and I looked, and they were rolling down around the layout with almost zero grade. And let me just say, I never had that problem with Flyer stuff. So these roll extremely well. So that's the good stuff. Now, what isn't so, I guess, good, if you will, is the size. Apparently apparently what Kline did is they took Mark's cars and put S-scale trucks on them, which I know through the years many people have done that, especially with gondolas. Mark's made a really nice gondola that you'll see has scale Flyer or S-scale trucks on it. But I guess I wasn't expecting this kind of size difference. And you can see here, we've got a height difference, we've got a length difference, just pretty much all dimensions are larger. So had I known that, I probably would have passed on them, to be honest. I recognize Flyer is considered a toy by many, but to me, it's a little bit prototypical. I acknowledge there's a toy factor there too. So yeah, when I got home and took them out of their boxes, because they're unrun, brand new in the box, and as you can see, I mean, no playwear, no runway air on the wheel sets at all. So that was kind of cool. So at this point, I'm trying to reconcile how I recall seeing many videos of car, freight trains, whatnot, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s that had box cars of all different sizes. So maybe that makes a little bit of sense. I don't know. The other thing that I got to do, and again, this is something that I've had the privilege of doing with Brad before, is go to the Indiana Live Steamers. And I want to give a shout out to all the guys there, and I don't know if there's any gals, but gals, if you're present in the club there, and just say, well done. You guys continue to astound me. They have this distance, this layout that's humongous. I mean, it takes Brad and I don't know, between 20 and 25 minutes to go around one time. It is just so long. And there are bridges and there are woods and there's road crossings, and it's just really fascinating. Lots of differing scenery. So what I wanted to do for all y'all is if you have a chance, check out the ILS website. I believe it's around September 12th. They have something called the Dog Days of Summer, and it's a type of invitational. And if you're interested or able to, please show up for that. They'll have all kinds of people that'll come from area groups and clubs and whatnot, and you'll see all kinds of trains in operation. Again, check out that video from earlier if you want to see some of that, because that was at a Dog Days a few years ago. They have a outdoor G-scale loop that you'll see live steam and other trains running around on. So it's just a fun time. And they do a lot of great things for the community. I know the morning that Brad and I were there, they were doing a birthday party, which is something that they do. So if someone wants to have a birthday party and go on train rides, they open things up for that, which I thought was really neat. And man, wouldn't that make a great birthday? Where was that when I was a kid, you know? Anyhow, so cool stuff. Way to go, Indiana Live Steamers. My hat's off to you. Keep up the good work. Well, thanks all for tuning in today, and until next time, take care, God bless, enjoy those trains, be they American Flyer or other scales. We'll see you. Bye-bye.